And these are designed to go up, be one season, and be done.
Detective Dustin Miller walks us through what's left of a major illegal marijuana grow busted July 6th.
This is a large operation.
Just east of the Bend Airport, in a neighborhood of small farms and private homes, hiding in plain sight, 25 flimsy greenhouses.
Counting this large one back here. This large one, what we found when we were here, it just had starters and growing material, different things like that in there. Probably used for the original stages before they actually planted the greenhouse.
The same bust involved another property, and together more than 6,000 plants were confiscated. Estimated street value $3.5 million.
What we have become is the criminal breeding ground for this criminal activity as it's spread across the states.
And this is just the most recent. Alfalfa last September, the biggest bust in county history. 9,000 plants, more than a ton of processed pot. Operated by a Mexican cartel, detectives say. The workers brought into the country illegally, working off debt and living in terrible conditions. La Pine this April, 2,800 plants seized, hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, and more than a dozen firearms. June 14th, a massive record haul in Jefferson County. 17,000 plants, 8 tons of processed pot. Another foreign-run operation, this one tied to a cartel in China. The mostly Chinese workers living in the same conditions seen in other grows.
With very little money, very little food, very little water, very little shelter. Essentially no bathrooms. The filth that they are being forced to live in is not any place that any of us would like to spend an evening, let alone live a full grow season.
Grow sites like this are dangerous fire hazards.
A lot of them are ran off of extension cords, overloading breakers and circuits.
And health hazards, the product, of course, completely unregulated.
We're seeing hard fertilizers, we're seeing pesticides, and we're seeing chemicals being placed on these plants and around these greenhouses to deter the rodents that are not intended for human consumption.
And why is it happening here? Because there is money to be made, big money, in illegal marijuana.
California, Washington, Oregon's known for having some of the best marijuana in the United States.
It's a classic case of buy low, sell high.
You can buy bulk, $900 a pound, $1,000 a pound, $1,200 a pound, and then you can take it back to the other side of the country and you can triple that.
Or just grow your own and ship it out of state. It goes east by truck, by the U.S. mail or package delivery services, detectives say. The state's hemp industry often providing camouflage for these illegal grows.
It's become fairly socially accepted to see large hemp farms being grown. It's harder for law enforcement to discover them. It's harder for us to see them, identify them, process them, and actually identify the fact that they are an illegal grow when there's so many of them.
This metaphorical swamp was supposed to dry up with legalization. Here's one of the stated purposes of Ballot Measure 91. Prevent revenue from the sale of marijuana from going to criminal enterprises, gangs, and cartels. And some statements in support. Measure 91 fights back against drug cartels so that they face competition and go out of business. We can cut off the unlawful drug trafficking with a smart approach at home. Cut off the black market and send the cartels packing. Get rid of violent drug cartel grow operations.
What we're seeing an increase in is cartel operations.
Deschutes County Sheriff Shane Nelson calls that reasoning a farce.
The argument that it would get rid of the black market industry, that argument hasn't held up. We're not seeing that. As a matter of fact, I believe we're seeing an increase in the black market industry because marijuana from the state of Oregon has probably by this time been found in all 50 states and maybe other countries.
He's adding personnel to the illegal marijuana market enforcement team, hoping to avoid what's happened to the south in Douglas, Josephine, and Jackson counties, where leaders have declared states of emergency with law enforcement overwhelmed, leading to legislative approval of $25 million in anti-drug funding and prompting a moratorium on licenses for hemp farms.
They've made a dent by having the state of emergency and putting the licenses on a moratorium, but we are seeing those particular style grows starting to squirt out to the community, and they're squirting out to Klamath County, Lake County, Deschutes County.
That means more work for local drug teams who could use more resources.
Now we probably have 25, 30 active cases going that we're working on.
So do the math. How many more plants, how many more guns, how many more trafficked workers are out there right now, right here at home?